episode may contain language or discussions that may be offensive or triggering. Refer to the episode summary for details. Welcome to On Her Terms. I am your host, Charlene Ketchum, and today I have two talented ladies with me. We are talking about Elaine Robnett Moore's book, Reflections, a Conversation. We got to start over.
Hold it. Before you start over, it's Robnett.
Robnett. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I repeated it to myself so that I say it correctly.
I know I do the same thing. And then, of course, in my case, I screw it up after that, but you go right ahead. You'll do it right.
Robnett. And I messed up because I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at some of my comments and questions. So that's what threw me off. I'm like too excited to jump ahead into the conversation. Which is why I'm glad we're not doing this live, but it happens. So we will start over. So welcome to On Her Terms. I'm your host, Charlene Ketchum, and today I have two talented ladies with me, Miss Elaine Robnett Moore and Tanita Daniel-Chavis. And now we're going to start over again because Tanita.
It's Chavis.
It's Chavis. And you know what's funny? I said to myself, we clarified this, and it's not Chavis, it's Chavis. It's Chavis, like the Chavis Center in St. Louis.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, it's a good thing you don't have 12 people to introduce.
I know.
Right? Oh my God.
Next week. That'll be next week. So
yes.
Okay. We are starting. So I hope the person who will edit this video and stuff gets some laughter out of it. Because I'm laughing about it.
Absolutely.
The bloopers are the best parts. So
yeah, they are.
Welcome to On Her Terms. I am your host, Charlene Ketchum, and I have two talented ladies with me today, and I am not going to butcher their names this time. Elaine Robnett Moore and Tanita Daniel-Chavis. Ms. Moore recently published the book Dancing Out Loud, Thoughts on Navigating the Rhythms of Life, and she's also an amazing jewelry designer. Check this out, y'all. And also go back to the first episode for that beautiful necklace. That was also Ms. Moore's work. She's an educator, artist, international jewelry designer, instructor. Tanita is also a self-actualization coach. She's owner of Gold Conjure, an intuitive reader and medium. She's a podcast member of Marketing Maven, and she's also in the process of writing her first book. Wow. So maybe you can get some inspiration and some gems from Miss
I did get some. I got some great inspiration there. It was beautiful.
For the audience members who are watching this and not listening, y'all get to check out my hard copy of the book. So you see all these little notes in here. So I also have the ebook version of the book, which is very handy because before we started the official chat, we were doing the pre-chat, and Tanita and I were both saying this is a book that has so many nuggets and just instructions.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a reference, and so you will go back to it. So I think that it's a benefit unless you're a person who will mark up a book. I can't do it. But it may be helpful to have both the ebook version and the hard copy version, because that way you can make some nice notes without marring up your book. And then you can highlight things in the ebook version as well. And you can purchase your book online. Miss Elaine, do you want to provide the website that they can go to purchase the book online?
Yes, you can go to my website, which is www.elainerobnettmoore.com. Or you can purchase it on Amazon. It's more economical for you to purchase it with me, and I can autograph it for you before sending it to you. But you can get it either way.
Wonderful. So we'll start with the inspiration for this life reference manual you've given us.
Well, I should start by saying I have 5 children, 18 grandchildren, and I think it's 12 great-grandchildren now. And so as a result of that, on my 60th birthday, which was a few years ago, I decided to have a huge party, and I wanted to create something to give to every one of those attending my party. So the decision was I would put together 60 quotes of the things I have found to be true during the course of my lifetime. And I did. I put 60 quotes together in a little booklet and gave one to everyone who attended the event. It was such a hit. And I also thought of this idea because it was an excellent way to pass on to my grandchildren those things that I had found helpful for me in my lifetime. I think that that's very important, that our descendants have some idea of who we are.
Yes.
And on top of that, the very fact that in my family, I have lots of old photos from the 1800s of family members. And while I have beautiful portraits of women, I have no idea what they thought, no idea how they believed. They look like they were very strong women, but that doesn't mean that that was the case. And I think that our descendants should know who we are as women. So I wanted to pass that down. And that's what started the book. It was so well received that I got thank you notes on my birthday for the book that I handed out to everyone. It was a little pamphlet for handing that out. And and so I decided, well, this could be a commercial endeavor. I could do this. And I asked a friend of mine who attended, he and his wife were attending the party. And I asked him what he thought, if he thought I should attempt, he's a published author. And he said, yes, he thought I could do that and that it would be meaningful, but that I should expand the chapters. And instead of writing just the quote, I should put why the quote had made an impact on my life and how, and make it a whole chapter. And then, since I was a jewelry designer, or am a jewelry designer, I should include one of the pictures of, or some of the pictures of my art with it. So I decided, well, this is perfect. That's what I'll do. Now, the fact that it only took me 16 years to get that done doesn't count. That just is not important. What's important is I finally got it done.
Absolutely. I love it. I really like the pictures. It is a good addition, even in the digital version. It's still very nice to look at. It's beautiful. You have really good work.
Thank you.
Really good work. Absolutely. I'm sitting here as you were speaking, and I'm reading one of my favorites, and it was the one about family. It just disappeared on my screen here, but of course it did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wherein you said, there's nothing more valuable to you and your well-being than your family and friends. Keep the ones who love you and are always there for you close. Those that pose a challenge when it comes to having a productive and comfortable relationship, love them, but at a distance. And the reason why that paragraph, I read it several times and then I snotted up a little bit. Like, oh God. Because, in my family, for all intents and purposes, I was kind of the black sheep in my family, right? As they like to term it. And my thing is, I just like to call it not the black sheep because I hate derogatory measures associated with color, but I prefer to call it just the wild sheep. Okay.
I can relate to that very well. So go
absolutely. Right. And I kind of got that sense from the book. I was just like, you know what? I'm a lot like her. I'm feeling that. But the reason why I love that is because now, as I'm approaching 40, I really began to look at my relationships with my families and friends. And I lost some and I gained some. And it's always interesting to me how we could have grown up right next to each other in the same household, and we're so different. And the difference isn't the problem. The problem comes when you think that the difference is the problem. Exactly. And this chapter in particular just really reminded me that it's okay. It's just ebb and flow. ebb and flow, and how you said love them but at a distance. I particularly have somebody right now that I am loving from a distance, and it's crazy how you get a different perspective when you choose to, number one, honor yourself, but also to continue in a loving relationship with someone. And I just, this chapter in particular, just really, I kept going back to it because I was like, ugh. And so this is why I want the physical book. But I just kept coming back to that. It just really, it spoke to me. And it's so true to cherish your family and friends. By the same token, I recently lost a friend that we just had to part ways, you know, but like, I see her online sometimes, and, you know, I still send her good vibes and ashe and all that. But it's just like, that had to be split. And it's okay. That does not take away from the love in my life.
No.
You know what I mean? It just honors the love in my life. And I was really touched by that. I'm so glad I get to speak to you about it, because it's a very significant passage to me.
I think it's so important because so often we think that we have to divorce those who are causing us some unrest. And we don't have to divorce them. We just have to keep them in a place that's safe for them and safe for us.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And when we spend our time trying to, in the strongest sense, hate or dislike or distance because this person is just not whatever, we spend too much energy on the negative. We are not focusing on the positive. The positive is that this person came into your life for a reason. The question is, what's the reason? In my world, we don't always have to have the answers.
Yes.
We spend so much time saying, well, what's the real reason? When in fact, all we have to do is address the fact that there is a reason. So if I relax, let it go, sooner or later, that reason will come up.
Yes.
And it may not have anything to do with that individual. It may have to do with another situation that the knowledge of that individual and how that person is helps us to handle the situation that comes up. So there's always something good that comes out of everything in this world, no matter how rough it is, including a pandemic. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. The pandemic actually was very good. You know what, to speak to that though, I have to say the necklace that's next to it, I don't know if it's next to it in the paper copy of the book as well, the blue necklace, Pathways, Rubber, Glass, Faux, and Sinew. I thought
what's the chapter?
It is, I think it's chapter 46. Hold on one second. I'm going to have to enlarge this. It is page 201 of 347.
But it's
yes. It's chapter 46.
Okay.
It is chapter 46, right?
Oh.
And the blue necklace, I love. Okay, so this is why I like how you paired it up. And I don't know if this was purposeful or not, but the fact that it says Pathways, Rubber, Glass, Faux, Sinew. Like it just reminded me so much of the entanglements of family and friends and how often we find ourselves. Like listen, Charlene was just like, no, just read this book or whatever. And the thing is about Charlene is that she's very specific, okay? When she gives you something to do it thoroughly, because she was thorough about her thoughts behind it.
Exactly.
So when I saw that picture, I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so good, because it just reminds me of how we're so interconnected with our family and friends. We're so caught up oftentimes. And a little rubber, a little glass, a little this, a little that. And the sinew part really brought it together for me. So I'm that type of creative. But I don't know if you paired it purposefully or if it just so happened to be where you said it, but I thought it was very good in representing this particular chapter.
Yeah,
it's just excellent.
I did select the pieces that I thought most mirrored the message in the chapter. And
Oh, you did a great job.
it's based on my own interpretation, which can be really, really odd at times. So
I love it. I love it. This is by far my favorite one. There were a couple of others, but this one I was just like, oh, this is so cool. I get to come out here and talk to her about it. So I appreciate your insight on that. It's beautiful.
I mean, and that chapter makes me think about one of the other ones that was one of my favorites. I have several, but chapter 15, Love is Eternal.
Yes, that was so
That
good.
one was just, it's just because I have a hard time with letting go, and when things end, and there's just as things begin, there are natural ends to things. And it's a comfort to know that, love is eternal. And there are different types of love. And just because there's that loss, even if the loss is permanent, that love is still there. So even when we love our family,
no loss.
right. So you still have that, you're never empty,
No,
of that person and of that experience.
no. And the thing that I have found to be true is that when we look at relationships, we often think of them in the now, in the present. So this person is this and this and this, and this person means this and this and this. And because this person is in my life, then all of these things are happening. Well, that may not be the real reason this person is in your life. This person may simply be the bridge from here to here, from this page to the next page, to the next chapter, to the next part of your journey. These are the things that matter. And when I look back, I can tell you those who have weighed in that kind of a role in my life, and the ones that were most significant have never left. And even and I'll give you an insignificant version, which is not in the book, just so that you get a sense of what a role is that someone can play. I was going to have surgery. I had to have a hysterectomy several years ago. And when I was going about it, I was not afraid of the surgery, but I thought, because I am by myself, I like to be very clear. I'm not lonely, but I am alone.
Yeah.
And while I am I was by myself at that point, and there was no significant other in my life. And I thought, okay, I'm getting ready to have this surgery. And it was near Christmas. It was right around the holidays. And I thought, wow, it would just be really nice to go dancing, to have a significant other and like that. Well, I live in a high rise, and it's a really great high rise. And there are we have a Christmas party every year. And so at that particular year, we had the Christmas party. And I went, and it was like the Thursday before the Monday I was going to have surgery. And so I went to the party because I didn't have anything else to do. So I thought, well, let me go to this party. And I met this guy, which is highly unusual. It's a building I live in. I go all the time through the lobby and stuff, and I've never seen this guy. Really tall, good looking, perfect kind of guy. And he saw me, and it was one of those, oh, we came together, and it was, we had a wonderful conversation. It was really fun. I was finishing his sentences, he was finishing mine. And so it was really fun. And he said, I said, look, it would be really nice to get together, but I'm having surgery on Monday, because I'm pretty honest. And I said, I said, the thing he said, well, what do you want to do before you have the surgery? I said, well, I'd love to go dancing. He said, done, we'll go dancing the next night. He was a retired lieutenant colonel in the military. And so I said, okay, this is great. We went dancing. He gave me the recording of Noah Jones, Come Away With Me,
Mhm.
I mean, I work overseas. I've been in a place with a tin roof, and during a storm, I won't even go there. It's really a strange experience to wake up to tons of rain coming down on a tin roof, but that's another story. So, but that's part of one of the lines in the song, which makes me think of that. And so he came, and I was concerned with being alone the first night or two when I would come home from the surgery. I have friends, and my friends were all there and gathered around, and it was a wonderful thing in that sense. But it was the idea that my friends, my women friends, all are consultants and travel a lot. And so no one was going to be in town at the same time that I was having the surgery, which is a little unusual. So he said, "Oh, listen, that's not a problem. I will sleep on your couch because I have a big place." He said, "I'll sleep on the couch just so that you have someone physically there the first couple of nights." I said, "Okay." And he did. And it started out and it was really wonderful. And I thought, oh, this is the beginning of something new. And no, it wasn't. It never advanced past that's, I mean, we're still friends, but it never advanced past that stage. And further analysis was very clear that while he was a wonderful person, he was military. I am so not
A
military.
different blend.
You know, there are times like that when I would have liked to have been, but it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's a different blend.
Yes, it is.
A different blend.
And so when he was sure that I was out of the woods, and the military came out because for him it was protect her, take care of her. That's what she needs now. And he was there. And I've always said to him, I said, you were the angel that came when I needed it. So I had this wonderful night out. I went dancing. We had a wonderful time. He was just a gem of a guy, still is. And then we sort of parted ways. So we touch base every now and then. He's moved on. He doesn't live in the same building anymore. And he's since married again and things like that. But we are still friends. It was that love for that moment, and love only in the sense of coming together to have that experience of that surgery and all of that. That wasn't me. I could have lamented the fact that, well, it never got any further than that. And I could have, I could have gone on for the rest of my life with what a loss that was. No, it was a wonderful blessing. And that's the piece that we have to get, that every single situation is a gift. And if we look past what we think it should be and recognize what it is, then we gain and we grow.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's that is such a precious moment. It's just so it's crazy because you know, as a coach, I often hear this sentiment that, oh, well, they wasted my time. Oh, no. And I'm like, did they really?
No.
Did they really? I was just like, you know, are you still breathing? And they're like, yeah. I was like, you didn't waste your time then. You're still breathing. You're still alive. You're still here.
If time was wasted, then you wasted your time.
That part.
That person may have gotten whatever they came into that relationship for, whether they knew it or not. Yes. But if you have not gotten past the fact that it didn't work the way you saw it,
that part, yes,
you are the one that has wasted time. I just don't believe in wasting time. There are too many other things I can do with it besides waste it.
And there's so many, as your book really details, there are so many intimate moments that you take from life and everything, in every aspect of it. So you could be driving down the road and have a profound moment, and that's not a waste of time. You could be sitting in traffic, have a profound moment, and though it feels like a waste of time,
right,
it in there lies the significance. And it's just, that's what really communicated to me throughout this book, is that life is full of these abundant moments that you get to look over and reflect and call yourself rich.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just, you conveyed that. If that was your message, it was very well conveyed. Like, I got it. I was like, oh, that's beautiful. I'm getting goosebumps. It's beautiful. You know, it really is. The artistry was excellent. It was just, it was very, I felt like I was talking to you. Now that I'm actually talking to you, I'm like, oh, I feel like I know her. Hang on.
Yeah, I know. Right.
That was the plan. And the blessing for me is that that's how it's been received. And I know that you guys will understand this. When what you wish to put out, what you want to share is received in the way that you thought it should be, that is profound. That's
Yes, it is.
really profound.
Absolutely.
And it speaks to how we need to always perfect what we do. We need to always pay attention to the details. We need to focus on what our goals are. And when the goal changes, we need to accept the change.
Yes.
You know, it's my favorite saying, one of them, because of course you saw many of them.
Yeah, you got a lot.
There's always one more. I'm always surprised to find out I'm where I am when I am.
Yes.
When I thought I was there for something else.
Yeah.
You said something in the book. You said there are no coincidences.
There are no coincidences.
None at all.
Yeah.
It's, you know, one of my kids' favorite movies when they were little was Kung Fu. Was it Kung Fu Panda?
Oh,
I think it is. And in it, the master Shifu, the Kung Fu master, says, one often meets one's destiny on the path they take to avoid it.
That's exactly
right. Exactly. Okay, so what you're saying is so very true. You think you're there for one thing and it's a completely different experience.
And it's wonderful that way.
Yes.
Because it means that your life is full of surprises.
Yeah.
And most of the time, even when something horrific happens, there's a lesson there. There was a lesson there. And it's a lesson that you needed or it wouldn't be there. So for God's sakes, figure out what the lesson was so you don't have to repeat it again.
Over and over. Yeah. Because I say to God sometimes, I know you told me, I know you're trying to tell me.
Right.
And I just kept on going, but I get it now. So let's
right. I swear I do. I feel that.
You will repeat that cycle over and over again until you get it.
Oh, you
yes.
do. My conversations have gone on the order of, really, this is what you're doing to me right now. And I hope that you're getting humor out of this because I'm not finding this really funny.
Later, we can look back and laugh at these things, but in the midst of experiencing it, and which is so interesting because reading the book is, I had so many aha moments and so many moments that I'm like, that's
yes.
And I thought about my own life and just how to apply just this pursuit of just finding peace and being responsible for owning and maintaining my peace.
Yeah.
And I wonder, how did you cultivate that? Was this a nature that you've always had in terms of having that peace and knowing that you owned it? Or was that something that you grew into?
I'm never sure how to answer that. I think that most of my life, I've always been growing. Even now, I'm still growing. And I've always had a sense of, in a way, a sense of joy. I cannot exactly explain that to you, but I'm aware of that joy that is within me. It does not mean that I have not had horrific experiences that have rocked my world in a negative way momentarily. but it means that I have always had the resilience to know, even in that moment, that this is a moment
Yes.
and not an hour and not the day. Um,
Yeah.
I think that the first revelation or the first realization of that I'm conscious of learning was an experience that's in the book when a cousin of mine came down from Chicago to St. Louis, which was where I was living at the time,
Yeah.
and it was for a family wedding. And I got upset with my sister and I came storming down the steps. We lived in a big house. And I came storming down the steps and I was pouting and frowning. And my cousin, who um, was an adult, looked up at me and he said, "You know, you should never frown because people don't like people who frown." Now, this is such a kind of a normal statement you would make to a child who's pouting and performing, right? But it registered in a different way and it stuck. And to this day, I have always been very careful and mindful to smile. I used to tell employees way back in the day that be careful. Do not assume that because I'm smiling, it means I'm happy with what you're doing or that we're going to go on with this. I just don't intend to mess me up dealing with you. So recognize and be careful. Okay.
The kindness of your smile.
That's it. That's it. You know, uh,
Absolutely.
but when you look at that little thing and I see, and you see how smiles impact people, which of course we can't see right now because we're all wearing masks,
Yes.
which we should wear. And I do, but it does keep you from seeing the smile on the person's face.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're having a bad day and pre pandemic and you could walk down the street to go someplace and you see someone and you just smile at them and they smile back and you feel a surge of positive energy go through you.
Yes, you do.
And for that moment, you have removed yourself from that pain that you were experiencing or that sadness that you had or whatever. And in often cases, it may be the best thing that happens to that individual that day, that week, that year. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You have given them a gift and they have given you one back. And it's infectious. And while that sounds like a little thing, you multiply that by how many people do you see? How many people do you run into in any given day when we're not locked up in a space?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
And
That's
so
very
when you begin to snowball that effect with continuing it, or and a thing that I have always found helpful as an adult, which really is helpful, is that you should always have friends you can laugh with and that you can call in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night, whenever, and laugh at yourself.
Yes.
Tell a stupid story about something you just did.
Yeah.
And and laugh at it, and they laugh, and together you are relieving any tension, you are releasing stress, and you are becoming grounded with who you are again.
Yeah,
So these are
absolutely.
the things that one can do that helps you to stay lifted and to stay in an elevated state, which
Beautiful.
I think is important.
It is. It absolutely is. That's lovely. That was just lovely. You are so fun. I would like totally go hang out with you for a drink or two. I would just be like, oh. But you know, it's so funny because now that we do all wear masks, I try to smile. I because I'm a natural smiler. Like I'm usually smiling or giggling or something.
Yeah.
And And now that we all wear masks, I mean, like I'm smiling at a perfect stranger, and they're just looking at me like, "Why are you staring at me?" And I'm like,
And
"Don't
they
you see
don't
my
know.
smile?"
Right.
It's right here.
But some people get it, because I was in the store the other day, and it's instinctive. I see somebody, I smile, and I say hello too.
Yes,
But now
absolutely.
the mask, it muffles it, and we stay apart. But I smiled at this lady and said hello, and she got it, because I
Yes,
could tell she smiled back. And I was
absolutely. Yes. You know, it's crazy because so I have 4 kids, Elaine, and they are, I want to call you Miss Elaine so bad. I have to remember that I'm an adult though. Like I'll be like, okay, you're an adult, you're an adult. But
it's a habit. It's a respect thing. We were
it's
just talking
a
about that.
habit.
The respect, and yes,
Um,
the same
but
way.
I always tell them that. I'm just like, you know what, say hello, smile and say hello. And they're just like, they can't even see my face. And I'm like, I don't care.
You know, the one I loved when I had employees, when I had the real estate company, I would tell my employees, when you answer that phone, smile. And they would,
Yes, it translates.
and
Yeah.
I'd say, no, it's not. Because if
It
I
is.
call
It,
you, I hear whether you're
that's right.
smiling or not.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I've called out folks when I've called some place of business that I needed to do business with, and I've asked for a manager and said, send them back to school, help them understand
Yes.
how important smiling is when they're talking on that phone.
Oh,
Because,
it
you know,
is though.
It
I
is.
had a cop writing me a ticket one day, and he was like, you know, ma'am, you should, you know, miss, you should really smile more. And I was like, oh, I can smile at you, but I still don't like it. And I took my ticket and I was like, I'm out, whatever. I'm not dealing with this now. I was like, well, I can give you a smile, but since you wrote me a ticket, understand, it don't mean much right now.
I got out of trouble smiling at people. It's
Okay.
like, I know I
Yes.
did it wrong. I
Yes.
acknowledge what I did. I apologize, and I will try my best not to do it anymore.
Yes.
Sometimes it might work. If you think about little kids and they misbehave, that's when
Yes.
they're sweet.
that's it.
They're real sweet, and they smile and they hug you, and
Yes.
it does something.
You know what? It's funny
Makes
because my youngest son is that way. He's 11, and I'll just be like, "You are in so much trouble right now," and then he's just looking at me. He's like, and I'm like, "Oh my God, stop laughing!" But we wind up laughing, and I'll be like, "But you know, I still get at him though. I'm like,
Of
this is your
course.
lesson, blah blah blah." But like, I could literally be standing there just like wailing at him, like, "How dare you? You're not supposed to be doing that." And he'll just be like,
I don't know what to tell you.
"What?" And the thing is, the worst part about it is I know he gets it from me. So I'm just like
Trying to parent the you out of your child.
okay, God. And yeah, little people. They're a lesson for the world.
They
Oh,
are.
they are. They're amazing. So here's this passage. I called it the Beatitudes of your book, where you said, it says, the time when love hurts, this is the time it is crucial you hold on to the light, hold on to memories. And you said, the love of a soulmate is enough to last 1,000 lifetimes. The spirit of true love will speak to your heart before your mind can comprehend this wonder. Yes, it is a little scary to open up and be vulnerable, but what would life be without risk? And then you go into this, love is pure positive energy. Love never dies. The energy you knew as your loved one is with you always. Their essence comes to you in 1,000 different ways every day. Your loved one is gone because their mission has been completed. It doesn't matter what age they are. When they leave, their mission here is complete. You have been left behind because you have not completed your mission. When you live celebrating the life of one who has preceded you, you keep them. Can you guys hear me? I think my phone
Yeah,
just
no, we can hear you.
You have been left behind because you have not completed your mission. When you live celebrating the life of one who has preceded you, you keep them alive in your heart, in the world. When you keep alive their dreams, their beliefs, the causes they fought for, they guide you and walk with you. That is absolutely abundantly beautiful. It gives me chills because it's so true. I often tell my clients that the practice of ancestral veneration, whether you agree with having an altar to your ancestors or a shrine or pictures up or whatever, you don't understand. When you acknowledge the energy and the lessons and the love that they gave you, it lives on in your life, and it shows up in a thousand different ways. And even somebody that you loved. I had somebody that I was truly knew loved me and was in love with at a certain point. And he died suddenly. And I remember the dark place I went to after he was gone. And it wasn't until I really began to see where I allowed it to take me that I realized, I was just like, he would never have wanted me to live this way.
Exactly.
This would never have been a place that he would have been like, yo, I'm willing to go with you there. This dark place that I was in. And it's when I finally began to truly unpack that and to truly be like, you know what? Smile because you're still alive. Smile because you experienced that. That's when I met the love of my life, who's right there.
I hope
that's
so.
when I met him.
That's what that meant.
But it's amazing because being mournful and sad and sorry about somebody passing who I felt like I truly loved, literally could not get me to where that love would have taken me had he still been alive. When I unpacked that point, I met my best friend.
Because this was simply the pathway to where you are now.
Yes.
And this love was to prepare you for this love.
Yes, absolutely.
Just think about that, because the gift you had from here was not just his caring about you and caring for you. It was his preparing you for who you are with now.
Yes, absolutely.
How profound is that kind of love? I mean,
gosh, I almost cried. Yes, that's exactly right.
And you often hear, I had a conversation with someone recently about staying in unhealthy relationships. And this person said to me, well, the last two men I was with, I built them up for the next woman. And I'm not leaving him so I can build him up for the next person. And I said, well, okay, let's unpack that for a second.
Right.
Because so you're willing to be miserable.
How's that going to work for you?
It's like this, so that somebody else doesn't get this misery because you inherit that misery. And the other thing is, maybe this, how many times are you going to understand? Does it take for you to understand this isn't for you?
Right.
It isn't for you. Release that. Don't be concerned about what you're preparing him for, because she said, I know it. You know how it is. You'll leave him and then he'll get it together for the next woman. And I said, hopefully he will.
Well, then if that's the case, you have done what you were supposed to do.
Right.
Yes.
This means that you were able to give enough of yourself in that relationship for him to grow.
Right.
That gives you, that's kudos for you.
That is.
Absolutely. It's not a stock portfolio, okay? You're not selling off your stock here, people. I'm just like, listen, the lessons, the energy that you placed into that relationship did not return to you void. You learned what you wanted. You learned what you did not want. You learned what you are willing to give and the standard that you now set.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just, you're not selling off stock.
No.
And that's why this book was so beautiful, because it really takes you away from this concept that love is ownership. And that you own something, therefore, because I love it, I own it. It's not ownership, it's relationship. It is a dance. It's dancing out loud.
That's it. That's exactly right. It's that. That's exactly what it is. It's dancing out loud.
Yes.
Lovely. I can't. The story I tell in that chapter about that soulmate that I had is so true. And I celebrate him all the time.
Yes.
Because, and at the time I thought I should have gone instead of him. I really believed that he was bringing so much to so many and doing so much for our people that I should have been the one that left, not him.
Mm.
And that had I done that, he would have taken care of everything and it would have been fine. But I was still here. And what we have to come to grips with is if we are still here, our mission is not complete.
Yeah.
Period. We don't have
Exactly.
to understand what the mission is. We just have to know that it is not complete. And if that's the case, then we must go forward so that we can find what we are to do or stumble on it. Usually I stumble on it. You know, I never consciously find anything, but I have stumbled
Absolutely.
onto more things than you can imagine. So,
Yes, absolutely.
and so when I look back now, I know that part of my journey was empowering women. Not all
Absolutely.
women, and it's not that all women need to be empowered, but there are those who do need to be empowered. And so when I teach jewelry making and when I'm in other countries doing that, when I'm here doing that, that's the interesting piece about that. And it has nothing to do when we are empowering women, it has nothing to do with what their economic status is, what their social status is. It doesn't matter what their ethnicity is, because
Yeah.
women are women. And you can put all of us in one room, okay, a big room, but we can put us all in one big room.
Yes.
And
It's going to get loud.
that's
Yes, it is.
yeah, we'll do that. But no matter what that mix, the same emotions that this woman over here feels and that woman over there feels are the same emotions that I feel in
Yes.
varying degrees. And so we can lift each other and get to a better place. When I share those experiences I have, that's me lifting me up.
Yeah.
It's lifting you up if you can receive that information. And when you give back that joy at finding your experiences helpful one way or the other, then
Yes.
you are lifted. And so
Yes.
we all, and it isn't even just women, men as well. But I then became aware that there was a reason that I was here, even though at that moment in time I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me. Um, but now I'm glad, and I sit back and smile sometimes and say, "Wow, you knew what you were doing, didn't you?" So
Yes, absolutely.
it's a good thing. It's a good
Absolutely. It's a gift
thing.
to
It is.
have that level of insight into something so what most people consider to be so tragic. But the aspect of recently I realized this. I feel like I've known it forever, but I realized that loving myself, caring for myself, is an act of ancestral veneration. It is honoring those that loved you. It's honoring those that come before you. And I might actually start recommending this book to my to my clients now that I think about it. It's actually very
Write
good.
that in here is, let me find one of my little notes.
Like it's such a and the thing is, you made me feel wise, because a lot of them I was just like, yes, I knew that. I knew it. Okay.
Well, that's the real key. That's
Yeah.
it's not that this is profound wisdom that I only have and now I'm sharing it
Right.
with you. You already have these gifts. You
Yeah.
already know these things. These truths are within you.
Yes.
Just have
Yes.
to open up that treasure chest and recognize that truth, that honesty, that who you are piece.
Yes.
It really is there. And
Yes, it is.
waiting for you.
Yes, it is. It's beautiful.
That made me think of chapter 4 and 6.
Oh,
Acknowledge
chapter 6 was
deity.
good. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I know chapter 6. Chapter 6
Yeah.
was good. I was like, damn.
I mean,
So
and
good.
the way you organized these were perfect because, and I don't, and that's how did you decide the chronology of things? Because when I read acknowledge your inner deity and then claim your destiny, I was like, these were perfect companions beside each other, because before we can first claim our destiny, we have to recognize that inner power.
Exactly.
And and understand that we carry the power of our ancestors.
That's
Right.
Exactly.
That's huge. That is huge. That is huge, because particularly when we talk about what Blacks in America have endured and overcome, and people say, oh, these times are so horrible, it's so horrible, and everything's all bad, and what are we going to do if this or that happens? And it's like,
Yes.
look at what our ancestors have not just survived, but thrived and innovated.
Yeah, and whatever happens, we're gonna keep on keeping on.
And we'll keep on doing that.
Because we had that resilience, we had that ability to overcome obstacles and to keep going. That's just the truth of it.
Yes.
The order within the book, it's like everything else in my life, it just comes to me and then it's there. That sounds so, but it's the truth, okay? Yeah. And it isn't, it just is the truth. You sit down, let me say it this way. When I'm creating a piece of jewelry, I will often have an idea that, oh, I'm going to create this piece with these beads, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and it's going to be just like this. And then I start stringing the beads, and I get halfway through it, and it says, no, this is so not what I'm going to be today. And I think, well, but that was what I thought was supposed to be. And it says, yeah, but as usual, you just don't get it. So go back and do this way. And the key is to always be open to that energy coming.
Yes. So good.
That's the key. Each of us is an artist. I don't care whether we are sweeping floors or doing surgery. Whatever we do in this lifetime, we are artists at it if we choose to be. And that perfection is the perfection that this world needs us to perform. It is so true. The best example of that is Mr. Fudge, who's in my book. And I don't remember the chapter, but he was this man who swept and mopped the floors in the maternity ward when I was having my 4th child. And I am telling you, to this day, he still resonates. And he died 2 weeks after I left the hospital suddenly. So once again, there was an angel who was there for me for that time. And I know these things to be true. And so I'm open to it. You stay open, and you allow this energy to come, and you allow it to exist within you so that it can grow and help you become the better person that you are. But it's there. And those who think that it's only relative to the CEO, when I was in business, in real estate, the last person I wanted to talk to was the CEO. They never knew what they were doing. It was his secretary or her secretary. Most of those days, it was mostly his. His secretary knew what was happening. If I wanted to get something done, I went to the secretary. I didn't fool with the CEO. I talked to the secretary. The secretary took care of it, and then she handed it to him and said, here's what you're doing. And he said, okay. But people who don't know better think that the secretary holds no status, so you go to the CEO. No. The secretary was who it was.
Holds everything. Listen, I was a secretary for many, many years before I embarked into my own business. And when I say I was in the business of managing businesses, I was in the business of managing their lives and managing their whereabouts and where they're going. Somebody asked me, why my kids were so well behaved. I was like, because I'm a good secretary. Okay, I'm a good assistant. I manage them well. I manage them well. But yeah, that's amazing. That's gosh, I love talking to you. The wisdom,
Yeah.
the
We need a
insight.
book club. We need a book club read.
Yes, okay.
So everyone in the audience who's listening, it's funny because I'm envisioning people listen to the conversation and they're like, oh, I wish I could go read.
Absolutely.
You can't go read it. Go buy the book.
I know.
And then, you know, we'll have posts to talk about individual chapters from the book and what you all glean from it, because I mean, there's a lot to unpack. I know, Miss Elaine, you said this isn't new. This, you know, is not wisdom other people don't have, but still it's having it packaged like this, you know, and being able to take my notes, and maybe it may just be the stage of life that I'm in. You know, there's one part where you said when you were nearing 40, you know, you realized, you know, you had all these realizations about life and almost stopped taking life and yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I am. I'll be 40 in next month. And so so this will be released on December the 29th. And so we're recording this the last week of October. So it'll be a couple of months before I'm 40, but I'm thinking about, you know, you start reflecting because it's supposed to be a big number. You know,
I was gonna say, I know you're a Capricorn, Charlene. I remember
you, girl. Closing out the year.
Okay.
And maybe that's why I'm really reflective. But I used to be so hard on myself in those reflections and think about, you know, I've got this list. I didn't do all these things on the list, or I didn't do this as well. And the last few years, I've been like, you know what? I'm still chugging along. And I learned this, you know what? Yeah, this didn't happen that was on the list, but how was this experience? You know, what were my experiences like this year? And reflecting on that more than just the checklist, because life is about more than checking boxes. You know, it's the story behind that.
Always the story. Always the story. If you look at the jewelry that I make, there's a story behind every single bead that I work with. You know, that there's always the story. The story is the foundation of what you were doing. And the story is what you can go back and think about years later. It's the moments that you can remember that take your breath away. That's what you want. You want to have those memories. The rest is okay. So you had this obstacle that you had to get around, but you got around it.
Yes.
And when you're not sure, I know there's a story in there about one time when I was feeling depressed because a deal that I thought was going to go through in real estate. And I just was really feeling low. And I called a friend and said, listen, I need you to take me to dinner. Because at that moment, I couldn't afford to take me to dinner. So it was like, I need you to take me to dinner so that I can not be depressed. And he said, well, you know, I'm busy and I've got this meeting and I can't do it, but I'll take you tomorrow night. And I was indignant. I literally was indignant. I said, I have no intentions of being depressed tomorrow. I'm depressed now. Tomorrow I'll be fine. I only needed this pickup tonight, but I'm done. I can get through this, you know. And the thing that we have to remember is that this is just a speck in our time, just a second in the time that we have. And we will have the time that we need to do what we need. Now, we have to do it right. I mean, you know, you can't go stand in the middle of a highway and expect not to be hit by a truck.
Right.
And say, you know, where was the Lord when I was supposed to? My God expects me to do a little work on my side, you know?
Right. Get some common sense.
Just a little common sense, you know?
Right. Absolutely. That's
so
good.
I will wrap us up with one of my favorite chapters, and it's chapter 40. and it is Life Rocks. And
Yeah,
this
that
one,
was a good one.
this was huge for me because you noted that even, and it goes to the motivation for me having this platform, the podcast and the She Confidential website, is wanting to help encourage people to find those resources, find those tools, so that you don't have to find a way to get through life or get high on life through, blocking things, suppressing things, repressing things.
Mhm.
You can figure out what's hurting, what's
Exactly.
causing the anxiety,
Exactly.
what's making you self-conscious, address it so you can get out there, because life rocks.
It
It
does.
does.
You need to be out there to enjoy it.
You have to be, and you have to recognize the value you bring to this earth.
Yes.
And you do. The very fact, if you have a question about it, check to see if you're still alive. Because if you are still alive, you are bringing value to this earth. You are bringing value to the people around you, or you would not be here.
Mm.
Last time I checked, God has good sense. And so, I may not always have good sense, but I'm counting on God, he or she,
Yes.
having really good sense. Okay.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
and given
Absolutely.
that's the case, we are not here unless we have purpose to be here. We're not just taking up space.
Yeah.
We are here. There is a mission that we are on, whether we know it or not.
Yes. Yes.
If I were to look back in my life and say, well, I'm going to do this and then I'm doing that, and there are those who can do that.
Yeah.
There are those who know from the time that they are practically born exactly what they're going to be doing. I do not happen to be one of those. I sometimes don't know moment to moment what I'm going to be doing, but I do know that if I stay true to what I know to be true, that whatever it is that I'm going to be doing will be exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
book is a good example of that. I could have put this down years ago and said, you know what, I'm not going to finish this and I'm not going to get this done the way, but I know when something is important,
Yeah.
and I know when I have to complete it. And I don't necessarily know why. I just know that I do. And
Mm.
I will do that
Yeah.
and then sit back and watch. And generally I get validation that, yes, this was what you were to do. There are those moments when I get validation that, what the heck were you thinking? Why did you bother?
That's when you laugh.
And
You laugh and keep it moving.
that's it.
Yes.
That's it.
I
Okay,
love
I
it.
got this. And so there's that. Um, the tools that we need, we have.
Yes.
We just
Oh,
need to be
so
open.
important to know that.
We just need to, if we are open, things come. I use the example a lot that if an elevator door is open for me, when I go to the elevator, then wherever it is that I'm headed is exactly where I'm supposed to be going.
Mhm.
I walk a lot, and if I'm walking and the stoplight says stop, and then I get to the next stoplight and it says stop, then I think, okay, where are you headed and why are you going there? Because this is not how it should be if what you're doing is what you're supposed to do.
Mm.
Oh, the
So
flow.
there are little omens that we get,
Mm.
little triggers that tell us whether we're on the right path.
Mm.
Um, the one that is in the book, which always makes me smile, was that my friend who passed, the one that was the one that's written about in the book. Um, uh, I would always question, because I have a tendency to do that. So down the line, I would say, was he really all that you thought he was? And of course he was, but I would question it because maybe I got that wrong. So I went to see a seer, and I don't think that I defined it completely that way because everybody doesn't understand what a seer is,
Yeah.
and that can throw people. But in my world, that was and I can count on one hand the number of times I've ever seen a seer, but I have profound faith in those that are
Well, you're
good.
seeing one now. I'm seeing.
I know, and I thought, wow, that is so cool because, and that's why I chose to tell you this story.
Yeah.
And so I went to see this woman who was in New Jersey, and I did not know her, and she did not know me. And she was going to be at a friend's home, and I went because of that. And I met her, and she talked to me as if she had always known me. And I thought, and I get that a lot from people. So I kind of take it with a grain of salt and keep going because I often wonder, but again, I just don't question it. It's there and it's so okay. And so my mother had just passed, and I wanted to ask her if my mother was okay.
Yeah.
And she said, yes, your mother's fine. She's just getting settled. So, she's not very talkative right now, but she's fine. And I had brought my aunt to live with me here in Silver Spring from St. Louis. My aunt has Alzheimer's. And so I said, is my mother okay? And is my grandmother all right with the fact that I brought my aunt to Silver Spring? And the woman said, your mother is fine. And your grandmother says she's very happy that you brought your aunt because she wouldn't have had the patience to deal with her. I thought, okay, she definitely knows my grandmother. There's no question about that. That's exactly what my grandmother, that's what my grandmother was,
Oh, goodness.
Oh my gosh.
And so I said, okay. And she said, but there's this man who just he won't get out of the way. He keeps coming into my space and he won't leave, and he has a message for you. And I said, well, okay. And he had passed several years before that. And I said, okay. And she said, he's an older guy, and he was 13 years older than me. And she said he's older and he's just determined to give you a message. And I said, okay. And she said, she described him. And so I named him, and she asked him, and he said, yes. And she said, he wants to know if it's all right for him to meet you when you cross over. Can he be waiting for you is it okay? That is exactly what he would do. That is exactly what he would do. Because he would never assume that it would be okay. He would always ask. And then she said he wanted to tell you that in several lifetimes, he has always loved you.
Oh God. Oh my gosh. That is beautiful.
There was more to it. And I have really gotten carried away, Charlene, because I didn't intend to tell this story.
Wow.
But what I'm saying that to say is that, and there are times even now, and it's been at least 20 years or somewhere in there, because I'd lose track of time since he's been gone. But I'm just saying to you that, the end of that story was that I drove back down here from New Jersey with a friend of mine. We had both gone up to meet with this woman, and on the way back, I was just ecstatic. I said, I can't believe it. I just cannot believe that he was there with that message for me. And there was no way that she could have known, none, but she did. And so, and plus what she said that my grandmother said told the whole story, because I was really clear that she knew.
Yeah, for real.
But so when we got back, I came home, and the next day I was going to go to a movie, and of all things, see Alice in Wonderland, the version. Is it
Johnny Depp?
Yes, thank you. That version.
And
because I just wanted to see it, and so I decided I'd see it in 3D. So I went to see it, and by this,
wow, that's very colorful,
right?
in 3D.
So by this time, I'm saying, Elaine, that probably wasn't exactly what you thought. And maybe she really, because I can do this, okay? Just so you know that there's that other side of me that
Yeah.
can go there. And so I'm sitting there watching this movie, had no idea what it was going to be like, other than I thought it would be colorful, and I like Johnny Depp, and I thought this would be a fun thing to do. And at the end of that movie, this huge, beautiful, iridescent blue monarch butterfly flies right out into the audience.
Yeah.
Now, what you have to understand is that for years, butterflies have been an omen for me. So
Mm.
whenever I need to know whether I'm doing something right, then a butterfly will show up if that's what I'm supposed to do. It can be I've seen live butterflies in the winter. I've seen, pictures of butterflies. I have a butterfly mounted on the doorway to my bedroom that I picked up in an antique shop in the middle of winter one time. I was just,
Mhm.
and I had questions on my mind, and I'm asking these questions, and there's this butterfly. Um, and so the butterfly has always been symbolic of letting me know that whatever I'm doing, it's the right path. There are
Wow.
things as well, but the butterfly's always been there. So for that monarch butterfly to fly straight in my face, it was like God saying, listen, stupid. I sent you the woman. She told you what I wanted you to know. And still you have questions. Does this butterfly get your attention now? You think you could just go with the flow on it?
Right.
Stop questioning me.
Right.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
I
Wow.
love it. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Ah,
I
amazing.
can't add to that.
Right. So
Well,
Everyone
perfect.
needs to get dancing out loud, so
Yeah.
that we can start our reading group, and just really explore how we can take what you call just basic wisdom, and how we can use it to enhance our life. I mean, because even with you recognizing that what the butterfly symbolizes for you,
Yeah.
so many of us, we aren't even aware of our environment like
Right.
that. Just having that awareness and openness.
it's there.
Yes.
It is a gift, and it is one that is easily accessible by all.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of being okay with being open
Yes.
and
Yes.
taking the
I that's so true. I tell my clients all the time, accept the magic as it shows up.
hello.
Just
There you
accept it. Accept the magic as it shows up. Accept the signs as they show up. Just accept them. Like, just be like, okay. You know what I'm saying? If you get a
Exactly.
feeling, don't dismiss it. Just go with
No,
it. Like,
no,
okay, cool.
no. There are many stories about that, both negative and positive, and mostly
Yes.
positive, but that talk about our need to recognize the intuitive side of ourselves.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is real,
Absolutely.
and it is on target, and it is there to guide you, you know? And Charlene, I want to read one thing.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
and then you can
Yes,
cut out
please.
this that you need
Yes.
to cut out.
Yes,
But
please. Please do.
because this is at the end, and I wrote this many years ago, and it's the poem I Am a Butterfly.
Mm.
And it says, I am a butterfly. My wings are beautiful, iridescent rainbows, ever changing, ever constant, sprinkled with stardust, or rainbows, ever changing, ever constant, sprinkled with stardust to encourage free flight, elusive transparencies designed to repel ignorance, pain, hatred,
Mm.
times indifference. My antennas are long, fine. Okay, I'm not reading this correctly. Do you mind if I start this again?
Absolutely, go for it.
Thank you.
Right.
It helps if I hold it up so I can see better. I am a butterfly. My wings are beautiful, iridescent rainbows, ever changing, ever constant, sprinkled with stardust to encourage free flight. Elusive transparencies designed to absorb wisdom, joy, love, sweet tears, laughter, designed to repel ignorance, pain, hatred, blue times, indifference. My antennas are long, fine, delicate life feelers, reaching out, reaching in, dipped in dreams to know reality, touching tentacles sensitive to the breath of a newborn hummingbird, sensitive to the agony of an unsung song. Music explodes, wings unfold. I am a butterfly. And I say that because each of us is that. And when we come into our own realization of who we are, that's exactly what we are. We're butterflies.
Yeah, we are. Ashe. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for this. Charlene, thank you for inviting me. Miss Elaine, Miss Elaine, Miss Elaine. That's beautiful. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your work. I love this book, Thoughts on Navigating the Rhythms of Life. That's exactly what it is. And I could not have been more honored to have been asked to participate in this broadcast, in this podcast, because it's really just, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
I am
Absolutely.
always honored to meet those that I have done something for. So when I meet you and when it resonates with you that way, I know that you are one of the people I wrote this for. So I think that is an honor for me.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Charlene, you are dynamic, sis. Oh my God. Oh my
God. We need to celebrate more of this. There's so much
impactful.
Yes.
It's impactful. This is round number 2 for me. And Charlene, you are a win so far. Both times, like, just blown away. This is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was just on her terms is dope.
Yeah, I think this is probably the 3rd time I've got like teary.
Yes, I am a little
I'm gonna be crying.
This is beautiful, just beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And to round out, the year with this for folks will just be so impactful. So thank you.
Beginning. It's just the beginning.
Yes.
And Tanita, I hope that this means that I will hear from you and
you will be indeed. Like Charlene,
you don't get to disappear now.
I know.
No,
absolutely.
I'm so serious about a book club and just more conversations.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah. I could talk to you all day. I could talk to both of you all day. Like we could just chat. We could just be girlfriends now, y'all.
Yeah,
we're just girlfriends.
Yes.
Absolutely, I love it. Timeless.
Absolutely.
Timeless.
Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
Get your book.
Yes, get the book, Dancing Out Loud, Thoughts on Navigating
I should say to you that Dancing Out Loud on my website, the paperback is $55, which includes mailing, and it's signed. And online, it's $62.50 plus mailing on Amazon.
Okay, perfect.
Or the ebook version is $9.95.
Absolutely.
And I recommend that you get both so that you don't mark up the beautiful book.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I was just like, definitely get both. Okay. I love it.
So thank you, Miss Elaine, Tanita, audience. Go to she.confidential.com so that you can find Miss Elaine and Tanita's social media handles and websites, a link to the website for Miss Elaine so that you can purchase this book. And thank you again. My name is Charlene Ketchum. I'm your host of On Her Terms.